Okay, let's get started.
Ghosts are real. That much I know.
Hey horror freaks, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda. If this is the first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get notification every single time that I post a video, and I post every single week. As you can see from the title, today's video is going to be my full review with spoilers of A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. Now, this film is directed by Wes Craven. This is the Johnny Depp's film debut and is also one of the first films to ever be produced by New Line Cinema. This is considered by many one of the greatest horror movies in history, and you're going to learn in this video why. Now, as always, all my reviews are with spoilers. I do not do spoiler-free reviews for the old horror movie series that I do, so I apologize in advance. But saying that disclaimer and all of that, let's get into the video. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street follows the concerns of a group of teenagers who are targeted by Krueger, an undead form child killer who can murder people through their dreams as retribution against their parents who burned him alive. Now, to give a brief summary from the story, the film follows a group of teenagers that are friends, and they are being killed one by one in their dreams by a man that has a sweater that is red and green, has a fedora, and razors in his fingers. And his name is Freddy Krueger, and he is portrayed by Robert Englund. Now, the first one is Tina. The film opens with her dream sequence, and she even wakes up with some scratches in her arm, and she's very scared about it. But when she talks with her friend, that is Nancy, and her boyfriend Glenn, that is Johnny Depp, they realize that they are all having the same dreams. But although they try to calm Tina by staying with her on the house that night, Tina gets killed by Krueger, and her boyfriend is the one that is basically framed as the killer. But of course, he is innocent, and there's nothing that they can do since there's no way to prove that someone killed her on her dream, right? Now, Freddy kills Tina's boyfriend while he's in jail, but he makes it look like it was a suicide. He even tries to drown Nancy at some point while she's having a bath. This is probably one of the most iconic scenes, if not the most iconic scene of this film. Basically, we have his arm with the razors passing through her legs and them trying to push her, but of course he did not succeed in that, but he does succeed in killing Glenn. This is also one of the most iconic scenes of this film, and being completely honest, is my favorite death. He basically gets swallowed by the bed, and then the bed basically explodes like a fountain of blood. Like, there's a lot of blood, but it's a very good scene. Now, Nancy being the last one standing and basically no adult believe in her, she barricades her house and sets traps in order to bring Freddy to the real world and try to kill him. She even sets him on fire. Father, who is part of the police department, she is like, you're going to come by the house in 20 minutes. I'm going to find the killer. I'm going to resolve this. She is kind of unsuccessful in this. Her mother gets killed in the process, and while we believe that Freddy was killed, the final scene proves us that it wasn't, and it leaves the audience and the question if what we are seeing is real or not, and what happened with Freddy. Of course, we have a whole franchise. We have 6 sequels. We have a crossover with Friday the 13th, and we have a remake of 2010. So you can really tell that this film was indeed very successful. And of course, Freddy didn't die. Now, going very straight into the things that I like, the first thing that I love about this film is Robert Englund as Freddy. He is, in my opinion, one of the most iconic slasher killers. Robert did such a good job, and it has been proved that no one can play Freddy as him. The biggest mistake that definitely the remake made was not only cast Robert as Freddy, but also the fact that his burns, instead of being makeup, is CGI, and definitely takes away everything from the character, because Freddy is scary as hell. Not just the razors, not the sweater that it's very bizarre to say the least, a striped red and green sweater, but it's his face, his makeup, and also the body language. I definitely believe that Robert brought to life that character in a way that no one could ever do it. And for me, the makeup, like, Of course, I don't know who were the people in the makeup department of this film, but they did such a good job with every single film because they never miss in terms of Freddy's portrayal. So definitely that's on the top of the list. The other thing that I do really like about the film is that the film tricks you into what is real and what is a dream. This is one of the aspects that has been praised the most ever since the film came out back in 1984, and to this day it is, because it's honestly so brilliant. Wes Craven did such a good job in tricking us because he not only directed but he also writes the film. And there are moments that if you haven't watched it enough to the point that you can like say, okay, this is the dream sequence, this is the reality, the first time you can be a little bit confused because you have to pay closely attention because they're so small details. But there are going to be differences and things are going to be telling you this is real and this is a dream. So definitely they did such a good job in comparison to the remake, that you can really see more clearly which one is a dream sequence and which one is real, and that kind of takes away a little bit from the magic of the film, that is being tricked into what is real and what is not, especially the ending, because the ending is like, okay, so this is real or it is a dream sequence, like, but in my opinion it is a dream sequence, like that's 100% it is a dream sequence. But when it comes to the remake, it's way easier to tell, and like I said, it takes away from the film. The third thing that I do really like about the film is the score. I think that is creepy as hell. We have the song of 1-2, Freddy's Coming For You, is so damn creepy and it's iconic to this point. Like everyone knows that. Like you just need to read the 1-2 and we're all going to be thinking Freddy is coming for you. And also like the racers, like I have it in my shirt, you cannot see it, but those racers are so iconic. And like I said, the sweater, Freddy Krueger to this day is an icon. He is very easy to recognize. And the score for me is brilliant. Also the cinematography. I definitely believe that for the time that this film was made, it was ahead of it. Wes Craven, he did such, like, this man reinvented the genre with this, and then with Ghostface. Like the man he was brilliant, honestly. His filmography, of course, is not perfect, but he definitely delivered so many iconic horror films. And when it comes to this one, he definitely did a very good job with taking what in this era we're seeing already, that is the slashers, but he making it even better. Because if you think about it, the film is about a man killing teenagers because he wants revenge. Because I didn't say this on the summary, but the reason why Freddy is killing these teenagers is because he was burned alive by their parents because he was a child killer, and as revenge, he's now killing the teenagers. So he's a ghost with a lot of issues, so that's why he's killing, and that's why he is the way that he is. He's also a psychopath, if you ask me. But he is a ghost killing teenagers in their dreams. That sounds hella simple. Wes Craven took it and he expanded into creating the masterpiece that is A Nightmare on Elm Street. When it comes to the terms of the franchise, we can all agree that not every single one of them are excellent. In my opinion, the second one is not that good. I prefer the third one, since if you haven't watched the second one, it takes a different turn when it comes to Freddy, and many people didn't like that. I'm part of them, so I prefer the third one. And we also have the crossover with Jason Voorhees, Freddy vs. Jason. That for me is such a good crossover. I am still waiting for the second part because the ending, it leaves to the viewer to interpret if what we're seeing is real or a dream sequence. Since basically the film ends with Jason stepping out of Crystal Lake and he has Freddy's head in his hand, and Freddy winks to the camera, leaving us with the question, so was he really killed? Is he really dead? This is a dream. It was everything a dream. So of course we probably will never going to have that question answered, but I would love to see Freddy versus Jason too, because I love Freddy versus Jason, honestly one of my favorites. And when it comes to the remake, definitely the remake made a lot of mistakes. Doesn't even compare. Although if you take it aside from the fact that it's a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, I think that it can be forgiven a little bit. Like, the film is not boring, I can give that. Like, the film is not boring, but what happens is the CGI is awful. But it has Rooney Mara as the protagonist, as Nancy. So I think that it's worth watching just because of her. Because I think that she did a pretty good job. The cast is probably the only thing that saves this film. But for the rest, not so much. Now, I think it's pretty obvious that for me, this film is a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10. For me, this film is indeed one of the greatest horror movies ever made, because it's definitely ahead of its time. It had a big budget. It was over $1 million. But for the time, they did such a good job. The score, cinematography, the characters, the villain, everything is like checking the boxes of making a good horror movie. This is definitely a film that I will ever recommend for people that wants to start watching horror. If I do a video talking about horror movies that I will 100% recommend for people that want to start watching horror, you bet that this is going to be on the list, because this is a must watch, even if you don't like it, because surprisingly there's people that doesn't appreciate or like A Nightmare on Elm Street because they say that the film is old, that the practical effects they aren't as good, and I get that. Or even saying that, oh, we have seen them thousands of times. Yeah, but in 1984 this was something that we have never seen. I'm talking if I was there. I wasn't, sadly. But for the time, it's the same with The Exorcist. How many possession horror films exist today? So many that for many people, The Exorcist is not that good. But in 1973, honey, definitely it was the greatest thing and the scariest thing ever made. So I really think that it's important to, when it comes to watching older films, to watch them with the perspective of the time that they were released. Because yes, to this point we have been basically exposed to so many horror films, and that they're a copy of a copy of a copy, and there are sequels and reboots and requels and remakes, and everything has been done already. So this is why when it comes to original horror films these days, they're so rare, but they're good. But when it comes to these older films, yes, we have seen them all, but for a very good reason. They are the first ones to ever made it. It's the same with Halloween. Yeah, the tropes that we see in Halloween, we have seen them so many times. But the film was released in 1978. Until that moment, there were so many things that we didn't see. So that's a perspective that I always like to bring. We need to watch the movies on the perspective and the mindset of the time that they were released. Because it's the same with older horror movies, like, for example, the Universal Classic Monsters. If you watch that with the mindset of expecting a movie like today, you're going to stop watching it very quickly. So that's just my opinion on the subject. But, well, I think that this has been all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below, what do you think about A Nightmare on Elm Street? If you like it, do you like the franchise? Which one is your favorite? Well, this has been all for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys on my next one. Bye.
Close to real. That much I know.